Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hey everyone, welcome back to Right on Track. Joining me on the show today is an artist I'm so excited to have a conversation with. Please welcome Axel Flóvent. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so excited you're joining me on the show today. We have lots to chat about, including your new album. But before we get into everything, I would love for you to share a little about yourself and your journey in music so far.
I'm a musician from Iceland, and I've been doing music for about 9 years, and somehow miraculously been able to do nothing else but music for the last 9 years. Released 5 EPs and 2 albums so far, and it's I started very young. Started playing music at 9 and started releasing music at 16, and then did a bunch of demo tapes that I uploaded until I had a management. And then we took all of that out and started releasing music that was properly produced when I was about 19.
Yeah, fantastic. So, how would you describe your songwriting process?
Yeah, it's been different throughout the. I try to change it every project, every year, every yeah. I would say that I try to change it with every project, but at the moment, I think I like to write as much as I can, write as much bad stuff as I can, because I'm very critical on my songwriting, and I have had years and years where I didn't lay anything down on paper. I didn't record anything because it wasn't good enough. But my process right now is definitely to record everything that I have, every idea that I have, develop it, try to get it further, and then judge if I should finish it or not. But I try to record everything that I come up with and try to come up with as many ideas as possible for every project.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And like you, when I first started songwriting, I definitely didn't show my music to anybody. I didn't record it, I didn't write it down because I too didn't think I was good enough. But I really like your point about how you need to get the bad things out and just not be so critical. I'm the same way. Every time I write something, it's like, oh gosh, like this isn't good. But then you can always revise songs. If there's a song you really like and you want to tweak the lyrics or tweak the melody, you can do that. And so I've tried to really maintain the mindset that the first thing I write for a song, it doesn't have to stay in draft form. I can always work on it more. And I definitely think that whenever you're working on a project, especially like if you write singles here and there or like smaller EPs, but if you're working on a album, I think it is really important to write more songs than will be on the album because it gives you the opportunity
Exactly.
to get all the songs out and then look at those songs and be like, what kind of themes are appearing? What songs fit well
Yeah.
together? And so if you just write, say you want an 8-track album and you write the first 8 songs and then quit writing songs, go to the studio and your first 8 songs are the 8 on the album, I don't think you'll set yourself up
Yeah.
for the best experience with that album because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to write more music and see which 8 fit best together and which ones are the best on their own.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how would you say you evolved from when you released your first project to your new one that just came out recently?
Yeah, I think that the first one was I had been kind of planning to do a full-length record from the get-go. The EPs that I released for the first years of my career were kind of like built and released from more like the direction of my peers. I was working with managers, labels, and people that were kind of saying, "No, no, we're not going to release an album yet." So I always had like an album in my backpack while I was writing the EPs and like releasing the EPs, and I was like, "When am I going to release that album?" So when I signed to my current record label, a network music group, I was like, "Hey, I really want to do an album now. Can we just go right into it?" And they were like, "Yeah, That sounds awesome. And so I got all of these songs that were like written over a period of 7 years, that, and I collected like, oh, these songs are definitely going to be on the album, but I need to write something more. So the project was really like a long process for, and um and now for the second record, I didn't have all of this baggage or all of these demos, all of these songs from years and years ago that I wanted to put on this album. I really just wanted to sit down and write an album. So I think I was mature enough and I was kind of confident enough that I was able to do that during a 3, 4, 5 month period, instead of like needing to collect songs that I've written throughout the years. So I think maybe, yeah, the projects are so like the process of recording and creating these albums are so different for me, but I think the way I've developed and evolved through a time is that I didn't have the confidence to do anything like that before. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like similar experience when I did my debut album, I was just learning about like how the music industry worked and how to record an album and all the things. And I too had like a bunch of songs that I had written like once I started to get into songwriting. And when I decided I wanted to write an album, I just went back to those old songs and picked the ones I wanted and found a way to make them fit together. But for this one, I think what you were getting at too is it was much more intentional. Like when you sat down to
Yeah,
write it, it was much
exactly.
more intentional of like what do I want to write about, and you
Yeah,
intentionally set time aside to write for an album specifically. And I did a similar
yeah,
thing where whenever I wrote a song called Quiet and it completely inspired my entire new album idea. And so once I wrote that song, I had a
nice.
vision for what I wanted to do. And so I wrote a bunch of songs. Then from my first batch, I actually sent it to quite a few friends and like asked them like rank the songs, like which ones do you like, which ones don't you like, and I got feedback. And then after that first batch, I picked the ones I wanted. And then I like how you said too, like you wrote more, and I think that's great too because after you have like a collection that you definitely want to include, you start to see gaps that you need to fill. And so once I had the songs from
Exactly.
the first batch I definitely wanted to include, I looked and said, okay, like there's space here, there's a space here. And then I wrote songs intentionally to fill the gaps until it felt complete.
Yeah, no, I definitely I agree with that, and that's exactly how I did it for this record as well. I had the team and I had the management, and I had like a few batches of songs that I sent, and I was like, "What's the highlight of this collection of songs?" And I kind of created mini EPs that for every yeah batch that I sent forward to people. So yeah, I had a very similar process, and immediately when I knew, yeah, this song is strong, this song is going to be on the album, this song is, then the gaps started to form, and exactly what you're saying. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like even if you write a song that you really like and it just doesn't fit on that album, you can release it as a single or on another project down the road. I think sometimes we think like
Yeah,
if a song doesn't fit a certain album or EP that we're writing for at the moment that it never can come back. And I pulled a very like old song like that I wrote 2 years before I released an EP and put it on the EP because it just fit. And it didn't fit my other album at the time, but it fit the new EP I was working on. And so these old songs can definitely resurface in the future. Perfect. So now I want to hear about your album Away from This Dream, which is a perfect title. It's so good. It definitely like has a cool vibe too. I love the title. So what I would like you to do is first give a brief glimpse into the overall concept behind the album, and then if you would give a track by track and list the songs
yeah.
and what inspired them.
Yeah, the whole album, the kind of overall theme of the album is definitely, I wanted to go more, as a theme for the record. I wanted to go into my own, into my own brain, and write like from the perspective of my current state of emotions and my current state of maybe like what I have problems and trouble with. Before, I always wrote kind of about the past or the possible future. I wasn't really in the state of writing where I'm at. So for this album, I really wanted to kind of pick apart myself as a person in my and my emotions, at the moment. So it became like this kind of therapeutic experience. I started therapy 3 4 years ago, and I've been kind of developing this routine with the way I've trying to evolve as a person, and really wanted to get that onto a piece of paper. So Away from the Stream became this project that I used as a therapy form, and to kind of I've struggled with a bit of OCD, and severe codependency toward people in my life, and it has created so many different uh, problems, and just, yeah, it has made it like I've learned so much about myself uh, whilst trying to work on it. So I really want to write these stories down and not always try to paint the most beautiful picture of it, but just mostly the reality of it. So, like, yeah, Away from the Stream was supposed to be like this therapeutic, um, yeah, print of the state of the person that I am at the moment, and that's like the overall, yeah, theme.
Yeah, fabulous. I love that so much. And I think that's really relatable as well. I think songwriting is definitely therapeutic. And I completely relate as well to what you were saying about writing about something that happened in the past or the future and not really writing about your present. I think it can be extra scary to write something about your present because if you're talking about the past, that's
Yeah.
behind you. You can't change that anymore. If you're talking about the future, well, that didn't happen yet. But like if you really sit down and reflect on your present and be super vulnerable in your music and talk about your now. I think it takes a lot more strength and courage to do that. And I think it also creates more genuine and vulnerable music because in the past, you're not living that anymore. So those emotions and those situations, they're not raw and immediate. In the future, that hasn't even happened yet. But in the present, you're fully immersed in whatever you're experiencing. So that's super relatable. So now, can you give the track list and share each song and what it's about?
So the first one is Moonlight, and I'm a big sucker for like intro songs on an album, something that takes you that both evolves within the song and also takes you into the mood of the album. And I kind of wrote that song as the intro of the album, and the kind of growth of the production and the melodies of that song, and it has just like this overall intensity that evolves in the song. And I wrote the song about familiar love and being stuck in this kind of doubt if I'm like if I love something because I know it, or if I love it because I'm like excited and I want to have it in my life. Like it's just like one of these kind of relationship doubts where you're like, oh, I really love this person. Is it because it's really comfortable, or is it um because that because I really love them and I don't need to doubt it. And I'm just such an overthinker, so like all of the emotions that I've ever gone through as a person, I've doubted them, and I've kind of picked them apart. And this is one of a very reoccurring doubt in every relationship that I've ever had, is this kind of, and the chorus goes like, but I want you here with me now, is the repetition, because that's kind of like the ending point. At the end of the day, I just want that person close to me. I don't care if I'm overthinking all of it. So, and that's the kind of the result in the song. And then the second song is Don't Wait for Summer, and that song is about using seizing the day, and kind of in Iceland we have such we never know if we're going to get a summer. So it's really like because it can, especially in the capital where I live, it's maybe rainy most of the summer. So we have like summer days here and there where we're going to get really excited and everybody goes out. It might be 10 degrees, but if the sun is out, it's kind of, we have to seize the day, we have to use it. So it's so like so for me, waiting for the summer would be like not doing anything fun, not doing anything nice in the summer, but only on the days where the sun is shining. So it's, and the kind of music video is two kids playing in the rain, because that's so, like, when I was a kid, the summer was just, it could be like rainy, but it was still summer. So you still have to kind of, yeah, think about it like that, and that's what that song is about. um, and yeah, the third song is called Have This Dance, and it's about just falling in love with someone, and not exactly being in a place in your life where you're waiting for it to happen. It just happens for you. So you just meet this person and you ask them, yeah, you kind of want to dance and you just want to be in the moment. So it's kind of like a cliche, just it isn't very deep song, it's just very straightforward like that. And Wash It Away, the fourth song of the record, is about overthinking. It's just like really a song about how how when you start overthinking every emotion, it kind of just it kind of makes everything so foggy that you don't know. Like sometimes I think that I could just think, if I just think more, the result will come to me, but it never does. It really rarely does. So in the kind of metaphor of wash it away is the rain. The rain won't kind of wash those thoughts away. You just really have to take care of it yourself and get through it and kind of try to think less. Yeah. Yeah. So number five is a song called "Chasing the Night," and that's about kind of not knowing when to stop when you're kind of chasing something. You're trying to. It's so literal, but at the same time, I think it's quite a nice metaphor. There is, I think it was like in a TV show that I saw from the UK that there was a girl that couldn't stop partying and she kind of didn't want to go home ever. So she just like kind of finished all her energy and her friend was like, you like stop doing this to yourself. You're just chasing the night. And I think it's kind of a metaphor, but I'm not sure. It just really it kind of described this, also this feeling of not being able to stop. I have this sometimes with work when I'm writing. I'm kind of working on a song and I don't know when to stop because I'm kind of trying to chase a feeling or chase something that doesn't exist and the song will not give to me. And it's kind of plays with this perfectionism as well, of something you can kind of work endlessly about until, but it's also, it has something to it. Yeah, I don't know. So Chasing the Night is kind of about that. And number six is a song called This Feeling, and that's again kind of a song um about having a lot of feelings that you don't know what are, and you're trying to kind of describe them to somebody, but it's like you but yeah, it's hard. And uh, the yeah, there's a moment in the song where I'm saying that uh, I can't share my thoughts because I'm gonna probably change my mind very soon. But I love this person, but I don't know what. And it's kind of, yeah, it's just about this endless amount of doubt that sometimes comes up. Number seven is a song called "When the Sun Goes Down," and that song I kind of wrote to myself as a mantra, because sometimes need to remind myself that I I have everything, and everything that I ever dreamed of and everything that I ever wanted. I have it all, and I have all the tools. I have all the instruments. I just have to now get it within myself and find a way to operate it in the right way. Like it's so easy to as a musician, I've been all my life, I've always gone through like stages of like, oh, I need this instrument, I need this tool to be able to do that, I need that thing, or I need to find that person that's going to give me that inspiration, or I need that money because I cannot afford working with this person, or like I'm always looking for something outside of myself. But when the sun goes down, it's just like at the end of the day, you have it, you got it. So sit back and relax and just take one step at a time. The eighth song is called "The Symmetry," and that's again about kind of learning to love the imperfections in life and the imperfections in yourself and the things that are not symmetrical and beautiful and perfect. And it's about other people, and it's about yourself, it's about your work and life in general. Because if I'm always unhappy when things are not perfect, I'm always going to be unhappy. So it's, yeah, it's about finding that simplicity, finding that love within broken and like imperfect things. And the ninth song, Honesty, is by, it's about like throughout all my life, I met couples and people and friends and family members that are in relationships and in marriages that are just completely shattered and broken, and that it's easier to be in that than to leave and start something new. So honesty is about the codependency that creates within any decision in relationships with yourself and with other people, where you make a sacrifice to not change anything and kind of break yourself bit by bit with it. And yeah, that's what honesty is about. And then the last song on the album, "Away from the Stream," is my codependency anthem, and it kind of picks apart my very specific problems with codependency. And this phrase to me can mean so many things, and it has meant so many things throughout the last um, years. And but in the song, I'm writing it as kind of the dream being the relationship, or the dream being the thing that I'm in. And it's the moment that I am figuring out, oh, I'm in this because I feel stuck. I'm not in this because I'm choosing to be in it anymore. And in the chorus, I'm kind of saying that if I can only listen to you, and if I can only be there for you when I feel like you need me, then that's a bad sign. Like, it's a bad sign that I'm never doing it because I want to, and it's because it's the choice that I'm making for myself, but I'm only listening to you and I'm only there for you because I feel like I need to be. And when that feeling starts in a relationship, yeah, that's kind of the beginning of the end. And yeah, and that's what that song is about, kind of. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Was
Yeah,
the whole album.
no. Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's always funny, like, when I do the track by track series, like, "Wait, hang on, let me, like, remember the order and remember why I wrote the song." So, shout out to you, you did it, you got through it. I think it's an amazing project. I think it definitely has a lot of vulnerability. I can tell it's very personal, it's very relatable. I'm the queen of overthinking over here, so I have definitely experienced, like, many, like, almost, like, every single song, I would say, almost, I just connected to right away because it's super relatable. So,
Wow.
congratulations on a fantastic album.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And just to wrap things up, what advice do you have for any songwriters who are listening?
I like the most simple things is of course never try to follow anything but your own gut, and your own kind of what you want this music to sound like is the most important thing. So as much as it's important to get other people's opinions, try to get your own reality, like your own, try to get the music that you're creating to a place where you're loving it before showing it to other people. Because like riding the wave on other people's opinions can be such a struggle if you're completely lost yourself. So I think it's hard to find your own sound and your own opinion on your own stuff sometimes, but that's also why it's so important to be in it and write a lot of things, and not like write one song and then be so excited to release that one song. Like, I know it's important to you that you wrote that song, but you kind of have to be in the reality of that. If you can write one song, you can write 100 songs. You should probably write about 100 songs before you kind of start expecting the world to listen to that one song. So I think, like, in that way, you like, I always, like, I have so many friends that are really excited to write their first thing, that like release the first thing that they write, and that's completely valid if you think it's like amazing. But a lot of the times it's more about like being excited to share with people that you can do this thing, and not about like I wrote an amazing song. So I think, like, yeah, create what, like, yeah, I think it's about writing a lot of things and also sharing it. But yeah, I don't know. it's
Yeah, no,
it's a
that's
very
great.
blended, mixed signal, but
Yeah, no, that's great. And you know what? Like, I totally, totally agree with the point you said about loving what you wrote before showing it to other people. And I've definitely been in situations with my music and with my fiction writing as well, because I'm an author, where I have sought validation just to let me know it was good. And I've gotten to a place where
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, hang on, no, like, I don't need somebody to validate this as good. I need to believe that as my for myself. I can't
yeah,
depend on other people to, make me feel like I'm on a pedestal that what I'm doing is good. And I think that's what was the
yeah,
big difference between like my earlier music and now is like I'm like much more confident in myself as a person and as a songwriter. I know what I want to say as an artist, and I don't need anyone's validation to let me know that song is good. Like, of course, I love the feedback, but I'm not going to not love my music and just seek out validation before I put it out or share it with anybody
yeah,
because I believe in my heart that that's a good song and that it's personal and vulnerable and represents what I need to be talking about in my music. And so I think it's really, really
exactly.
important to love what you're doing and believe in that
Yeah,
without outside validation.
exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Well, it was lovely having you on the show. Can you please share with everybody where they can find you online and listen to your music?
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you find your music, my music should be there. And I'm on most of the social medias, mostly active on Instagram, but I share a TikTok every now and then as well. So you can find me on there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this chat with Axel. And of course, until next time, stay
Stay
right
right on
on
track.
track.